Okay, so hi guys, it's MissLollypop and welcome back to another one of my videos, or welcome to my channel if you are new. So in today's video, we're going to be covering my top 10 favourite mods for better realism and gameplay for the month of May. Now, I normally do one of these maybe once a month, once every 2 months, depending on if I change my mods that I'm using, which I currently just done a complete overhaul of a bunch of new mods. If you want to go ahead and check out my last 2 videos, I'll post them in the little eye in the top right hand corner now, so you guys can go ahead and check those out. Those have all got different other realistic mods in them as well, but this one is a bunch of new mods that I haven't covered before. So if you guys are interested in downloading any of these mods, I will go ahead and number them from 1 to 10 and I will link them in the description below. So if you guys want to go ahead and grab these for your own game, you can go ahead and check down there, and let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first mod is the SN Bank Bills mod, and basically this is a complete overhaul of the way that the bills work within The Sims 4. Now obviously most people play with MC Command Center, so just to let you know, this is completely compatible with that, so don't worry about any of that. If you changed any of your settings in there, it is completely compatible with that as well. So basically it splits out your water, your sewer, your electricity, your trash, your cable, your internet, your cell phone, and all your property taxes. When you get into your house, first of all, there'll be no lights on, you won't be able to use any of the toilet, you won't be able to, use the fridge, any of that sort of stuff, because your electricity and your plumbing and everything is turned off. So you will need to go ahead and click on your phone, or click up in the top right hand corner, depending on which one you want to go for. You can go ahead and click on there and you can go and open the SN Bank Bills app, and it will open it up and on your phone, and then you can go ahead and select what you actually want to pay for. So these will come straight out of your bank account first of all, and then in a week's time from that date you will also then have to go ahead and pay utility bills, and then also from 4 weeks time from the date of you first paying out for your bills, you will also have to pay tax as well. It's kind of like a bigger chunk of money that you have to pay basically to live where you want. Depending on how many toilets you got in each house, different sort of things, how many baths you've got will depend on how much your billing system works out at. So not only does it cover your bills within your house, this mod also covers rent within apartments as well. So if you've got any apartments that you're using, it will also cover the rent for those as well. And there's a bunch of different things. If we go ahead and scroll through the website, so there is child support that can be included. Obviously you might already have that turned on in the MC Command Center settings, but either way this will come out as a chunk within your bills that you pay. Then you've also got your changing bills in apartments, obviously how they adjust, between you moving to an apartment to a house. You can also use the feature to auto pay your bills as well. So if you don't want to have to, go in and remember how to pay your bills, it would just automatically pay them for you. And there's also some discounts you can get on the bills as well. So as you can see, the reduce, reuse, recycle, renewable energy, and sustainable water are all ways that you can reduce your bills as well, which is amazing. I absolutely love this mod, and I need it. I need it within my game. Now that I've got it, I think it's amazing. It does cost you more money in total, but personally I really like the whole realism and the way that it makes the game harder. So personally it's a must-have in my game. Okay, so next up is Kawaii Stacy's Afterschool Activities mod. So this is basically just a mod that adds a bunch of after-school programs for children and teens and allows them to participate in sports and clubs and all of that sort of stuff. Whilst your children or teens are actually at their after-school activity, they'll be building the skill depending on what after school activity that is. So obviously depending on what one you select, there's a bunch of different programs. There's like the anime club, the art club, the yoga club, ballet club, band club, cheerleading, daycare, film and yearbook, gym member. There's a bunch of different stuff. There's also a swim team as well. So these are a bunch of different things. So depending on obviously whether your sim is a child or whether they're a teenager, will depend on what skills they'll build. But it's really good, especially since if you want your kids to move on and go to university, it's really good to start building their skills early on so that they can get a distinguished degree in university. Yes, obviously the sim doesn't earn money at their after school activity. They don't get paid for being there. So they don't earn any money, but you can go ahead and upgrade them, and there's 3 different levels depending on what after school activity they take, but either way they earn no money from it, so it doesn't make a difference anyways. But yeah, so you get to obviously make friends, maintain friendships, build skills, motives, and also character values, which is perfect. So this one is one of my faves as well. So moving on to our third mod is the chemistry system by the Pancake one. So this is a new one that I've actually included in my game, and I've really been enjoying it. So what it does is it includes a chemistry system that basically allows Sims to develop their relationship quicker with other sims, or you know, at a gradual rate or a slower rate, depending on what preferences they've got. So there's two different things. So when you first get into the game, your sim will already have randomized preferences. They'll already have preferences towards certain skills and certain traits. So depending on obviously what they automatically get given will depend on who they sort of click with. So there's a bunch of different things that you can do. So obviously you can go ahead and actually add your own custom ones in. So you can add your own skill preference or add your own trait preference, but you can also just go ahead and use the default one. And then if you go ahead and hover over any of your sims, it will show you whether they've got a preference towards that sim, whether it's like a neutral preference or whether they, you know, completely have a negative vibe towards this sim. It will mean the relationship will build slower, and obviously if they've got a good chemistry with that sim, then they'll build their relationship faster, which is really cool. Obviously if you want your sim to try and, you know, shop around, try and find themselves a man's or a woman's, and you know, you want them to, you know, find somebody that they click with, I think this is absolutely perfect for that. And I think it adds a lot of realism in the game that we never got before, but it doesn't always work on attractiveness, because obviously it's not always about building relationships, it's actually about building like friendships as well. So I think it's perfect for that, and I think it adds a lot of I think it adds something that the game honestly really did need. So yeah, this is kind of one of my favorites at the minute as well. Moving on to our fourth mod, which is the Random Traits and Aspirations mod by Greycurse. So this is a mod that I've had in my game for quite a while. Now, the reason that I would put this in, you know, this video is because I personally like the realism of not choosing my sim's traits and aspirations. I think that when a sim ages up, you know, or when when you have a kid of your own, or if you have, you know, brothers or sisters or whatever, you don't get to choose how they're going to turn out. You know, they turn out all different ways. You guys would know you've got family members that are completely different to yourselves. And with the sims, normally you get the choice to choose what traits and aspirations you get. And normally everybody goes ahead and makes their sims absolutely perfect. They make them cheerful and romantic, and you know, they make them, you know, the soulmate, and like, you know, not everybody goes out there like that. And to be honest, I like having this mod in because it kind of changes it around. I've got a few different custom traits in my game that is like sort of like OCD, that, you know, they have like anxiety, a bunch of different things that I've got included. So just randomly, certain sims that I have will be given these, you know, random traits that they've got, and they'll just have to work through them. You know, if they get given anxiety, they're just going to have to work through their anxiety, which I think is absolutely perfect. But obviously if you go ahead and age up any sim, there'll be like no birthday dialogue. So when they age up, nothing will come up on screen for you to choose anything. It will just automatically give them a aspiration and a trait, and then you can go ahead and check their bar to see what they've been given. But I think this is a really good mod to have. And also if you're playing the legacy challenge, then this will give you the option to use custom traits and aspirations, so you don't have to use a randomizer online as well, which is pretty good. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into my fifth mod. And the fifth mod I'm included in this is Have Some Personality Please. So this is a mod that covers a bunch of different things, which is kind of hard to showcase in game, so I'll do my best to kind of showcase things as well. There's a bunch of different things that this mod comes with, so depending on what modules you want to, you know, get for this mod. So if we look at the files, the Personality Please is the default one, then you've got it for toddlers, cats and dogs, for woohoo, try for a baby, and then learn info, and also restricted romance. So the one way of me showing you how this mod works is for me to show you the restricted romance one. So we go ahead and spin all the way down, and we have a look at the restricted romance. Basically, when your sims first get to know somebody, normally every romance, you know, every romance option is there. They can try their first kiss with them, they can go over there and hug them, they can do a bunch of different things that you probably would never go and do with somebody that you don't know. Now what this mod actually does is, I don't know if you guys have been having the issue that I've been having. Basically, a lot of the sims recently have been flirting around with a bunch of other sims. Like I'll take my sim out, he'll be in a flirty mood, and he'll go and flirt up with some random woman at the bar. And like, as much as I like that, a lot of sims, to be honest, like I like them, like I don't mind them flirting, but like, you know, when they go and like they start macking on them, and then they start, you know, they start like making out in the closet or something, and you're like, oh my god, this guy was not supposed to cheat or something, you know. Do you guys get what I mean? I keep getting this issue in my game, but either way, this section of this mod in particular goes ahead and restricts the romance. So when you first start romancing, you only get like give a romantic gift, blow a kiss, compliment appearance, express fondness. There's a bunch of different things that you get as you further, you know, as you progress into your romantic relationships, new things will start unlocking. And then also the Sims Learn Info part of this mod means that Sims can learn information about other Sims by having like deep conversations and things like that. But then this also goes ahead and takes away the fact that you would not go and have a deep conversation with somebody that you've just met, so like acquaintances. So it's gone ahead and taken out certain things that you probably wouldn't see if you didn't really know the sim. So things like, you know, deep conversation and hug are all options that you would have to be friends with the sim to get. So certain options will be taken away from you if you don't have a good relationship with that sim, and then gradually things will start unlocking. And all in all, the best features about this mod are the personality for cats and dogs, which allows your cats and dogs to have one personality depends on their traits, and they will act a bit, you know, different. Like, not all cats and dogs will act exactly the same. Although it's hard to show you guys in game, you will notice gradually as you're playing for a longer period of time how useful it is to have these sort of things and how nice it is to sort of have that realism in your game. Let's go ahead and move on to my 6th mod. And this mod is the Mortem mod by SimRealist. So basically, instead of your sims dying and the Grim Reaper coming and you pleading to the Grim Reaper and him bringing your sim back, because that's not realistic, let's be honest here. As much as I would love that to be a real thing, okay, it's not realistic. So what this does is as a Mortem process. So if a sim in your game dies, basically your sim will die. Obviously everybody will crowd around them and they'll cry. And instead of the Grim Reaper turning up, nothing will happen. You'll get a little notification to say that you need to call the emergency services. And then when you go ahead and do that, you can call the emergency services and you can go ahead and report a death, which you do on your phone. Now, when you go ahead and report a death, a doctor or medical examiner will turn up and he will start taking notes and looking at where the body was found. And basically he'll put the, you know, dead sim in a body bag and he'll send them off to the morgue. And then once that is all done, you will get like a little question that says, do you want to give this sim a funeral? And you can go ahead and select yes or no thank you. Now if you go ahead and select yes, then you'll get to choose whoever has a good relationship with that sim that's died, they can handle all the funeral things. So you can go ahead and select that sim that you want to handle all of that stuff. So from then on, your sim will be handling everything from there involving like the funeral and stuff like that, and the examiner will leave. Now the examiner will call you back in around 2 days time and let you know that the body has been received, everything's been looked into. Then you can either choose whether you want a burial or a cremation. A burial will give you the tombstone back, or a cremation will give you an urn back, depending on obviously if you want to place it inside the house or outside the house. So depending on which one you want, you can go ahead and select that. Each one also has different prices as well, because obviously, let's be honest here, realistically, funerals, they are, and you know, cremation and burials, they're not free and they're not cheap either. A lot of people normally save up quite a lot of money for this before they're passing, if they know that they're going to be passing, for stuff like this. So as deep as it sounds, okay, I'm sorry to get cynical on you all, but this is true. But yeah, either way, we like realism, okay, we love it. So once you've gone ahead and spoken to the medical examiner, you can go ahead and throw a memorial service, which you will then go ahead and invite everybody round. Then you can go ahead and throw the funeral, which is where everybody in the household and everybody that's turned up to the social event will head on off, and they'll come back with either the urn or the tombstone. And then you can go ahead and place that either in your house or in your back garden. I've chosen the burial, so you can go ahead and place it in your back garden, and then you can go ahead and have your sim mourn over it. Now, depending on how this whole situation goes down, this social event, depending on if it goes in a good way or a bad way, so I actually only got bronze on the event, so I went ahead and ended the event when it was bronze. My sim then ended up having an unending grief, which basically meant that my sim was going to be really, really upset for a long time. If you have a good social event, then your sim will have a peaceful closure, and they'll lose that sadness buff quicker than if you have like an unending grief like I did and messed up. Depending on, you know, how the social event goes will depend on sort of how that sort of plays out. And yeah, overall, I thought this was a really, really good mod. I've really been enjoying using it. And I think it adds a lot of realism to the death system within the game, because normally, you know, the Grim Reaper just swipes them away. Sometimes they might even come back from the grave, but either way, the Grim Reaper just swipes them away, then they're gone, and then that's kind of it. It's like, well, you know, it's done, it's over. So yeah, I really like this mod, and I've just been using it recently, and I think it's a really, really good one to include. So moving on to our 7th mod, and this is the Realistic Reactions mod by Scaldweller. Let's just assume that that's right. So this mod adds a bunch of good things within the game. So a bunch of different reactions. So normally within the game, we don't really get a lot of reactions. The amount of times that I've had a sim walking on another sim having the woohoos, and the other sim just doesn't react, just walks in, eats their plate of salad, walks straight back out, just pretend it didn't happen. Like, they've yeah, they saw it, they just chose not to react, you know, and that kind of bothers me because in real life most people would react. So there's a bunch of different things that you can do with this mod, things like when your sim will cheat. So for example, here are some of the, you know, here are some of the moodlets that you might get. So it sucks to get caught cheating. You're a cheater. I can't believe the person I married is a cheater. That was really bad if you were cheating with a married sim. I just don't understand why people cheat. You might get different moodlets depending on how it goes down. The situation that I went ahead and played out to show you guys is basically the husband went ahead and done the woohoos with another lady. He then went into the mean interactions with his wife and went ahead and told her that he was cheating on her, and then she got really upset. After that, they started having an argument, and then they also got divorced straight after that, basically. And their son walked out, and when their son walked out, he witnessed his parents fighting and got really upset from that as well. So a lot of these moodlets I thought were really realistic in this situation if another sim witnesses this, which normally isn't in the game. So I thought it was perfect to include and definitely adds a lot of realism to the game as well. So next up is Zero's improved relationships. So this is kind of a bit of a change up to relationships and the way that they work. No more breaking up in the morning, getting the bar up again in the afternoon, and getting married again in the evening, because the sim you broke up with will get a proximity buff around your sim as your sims around them. So depending on, obviously, you know, how they're going. So broken up sims, if your sims are broken up or divorced, if they're around the other sim, they'll either be angry. If they have a romance with each other, then they'll be sad. If the relationship starts working again, they'll be happy. If they're still friends, they'll get a little buff where they're happily divorced. If the relationship was really awkward, so it was an awkward relationship when they broke up, and they don't have, you know, a romantic relationship or a good friendship, they'll also feel embarrassed. So a bunch of different things depending on, you know, what goes on in relationships. Along with that, depending on if they're girlfriends or if they're married or whatever, you will get different buffs. So if you're in a relationship with another sim, if the relationship starts to go down, they'll begin to feel bored of the relationship, and if the relationships go within the red, then they'll start to feel tense. So different levels of relationship with that person that they're in a relationship with will affect the buffs that they feel around that sim. So it will be a reason for you not to have you know, broken up sims just walking around the house with each other, because they will kind of make each other angry and end up reacting to those sort of things. These buffs were perfect, and I think that they are very realistic and something that would definitely happen in real life. So it's really nice to have that sort of reciprocated in the game as well. Okay, moving on to our 9th mod is the Talented Kids Sim Mods, or Kids Can Do More. So there's a bunch of different things within this mod. I've gone ahead and showed off 2 different things within this mod, but there are a bunch of different ones depending on what you download. There is 12 different ones that you can download with kids doing, you know, different things, but the ones that I've specifically showed off is that the kids can cook. So kids can now make different foods, because I thought that was a really good thing that, you know, sims should be able to do. I don't know, kids should be able to cook. I was always cooking when I was younger, like baking cakes and stuff like that. So I think this one was a really good thing to have. So your sim can go, you know, to the fridge, they'll go and bake the cake. Although the animations are a little bit glitchy, they might like jump up when they're cooking. You know, I'm not going to go and sit there and, you know, nitpick at it, because it's the only way that they could do it. But either way, I think kids within The Sims 4 are really neglected. It's nice to actually have them do something, because most of the time they're literally just sitting in their room doing their homework, doing nothing in The Sims 4, and it's nice to have them finally do something. And then I've also gone ahead and shown off the fact that kids can also garden, which I thought is perfect. I was always gardening with my nan as I was growing up. We was always in the like potato area, and I was always, you know, helping her dig up the potatoes and plant them and stuff. So I thought that was really good to include. So it's kind of perfect. But again, all of these things you can go ahead and download. There's a bunch of, you know, different stuff depending on what one you want. So kids can play guitar, they can play ping pong, they can use the sim ray, they can make flowers. Depending on what you think you would want in your game, you can go ahead and download each one. And yeah, I thought that was kind of perfect, you know. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our 10th and final mod, and this is the chat pack. So this adds more social interactions for your sims. So depending on what is going on in your sim's life will depend on what they can, you know, be introduced to. So this has a bunch of new interactions for your sims, so they can talk about different things. So you know, some of the examples is, one of the main things that I notice is when your sims are adults, they can actually have a midlife crisis. So as you can see, somebody's feeling tied down. This everyday life is too much for the same. Maybe someone new can rekindle the flame inside, so they'll feel tense for 24 hours because they'll feel like maybe they can just go find somebody else. things like this might cause your sim, or might cause some sort of story, you know, story ideas to come through where they might go ahead and cheat. Maybe there'll be like a little affair. We love drama, we love tea, okay? So don't come at me. I'm not telling you to do this, I'm just saying it's kind of fun to include stuff like that. But even if you don't want to use stuff like that or pursue stuff like that, there are a bunch of different things. The ones that I specifically noticed are when my sim got pregnant. So my sim was pregnant and she was throwing up, she had morning sickness. She then went ahead and went up to her husband and complained about morning sickness, who was not interested. He completely shrugged her off. Yeah, it went down real awkwardly. And also after that, he went ahead and showed him the ultrasound pictures on her phone. So when the sim's in the second trimester, they can go over to a sim that they're, you know, friends with, and in the friendly interactions they can go ahead and show the ultrasound pictures. She went ahead and showed him the ultrasound pictures, and he also didn't care about that either. So it sounds like he's going to be a great dad, but either way, there's a bunch of different interactions that are included in this. A lot of stuff is included for elders, which I think is perfect, because normally elders are literally useless within this game. They're so boring to play as. I'm sorry old people, but we love them, but they're kind of just boring to play. There's not really much to do with them in The Sims 4 as well. So it's nice to be able to, for them to be able to complain about their lost youth, discuss their midlife crises that are going through. They can nag to their children about grandchildren, the fact that they want to be able to have grandchildren. They can tell kids to get off their lawn and it will make them angry. My son actually went over to my female sim and asked where babies come from, and depending on what reaction he gets will depend on what reaction they get will depend on what mood that they got. My child sim, you know, he got annoyed because he was like, do they think I'm still a kid? Because obviously they didn't tell him the real place that, you know, babies came from. But depending on what reaction that they get will depend on whether they're happy, unsatisfied, you know, depending on, you know, what answer they get given. But this mod is really good for adding a lot more interactions between your sims, which, to be honest, we're getting a little bit stale within The Sims, so I definitely needed a bit of a refresh with something like this. But yes, we have finished. We've gone through every single mod. We are at the 10th mod, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I gave you some new ideas or some new mods that you haven't already got in your game. Let me know what you think of them in the comment section below. Let me know if you think they're any good, if you've downloaded them yourself, anything like that, or if you've already got them. And if you also want to go ahead and see another one next month, I've also got another 10 other realistic mods I could include, because I basically installed 100 new script mods. So yeah, I might break my game a little bit, but no, it's working fine. But either way, if you guys want to go ahead and see another video from me, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to go ahead and end the video off here, and as always, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, remember to go ahead and leave a like, and if you've got any questions, leave them in the comment section below and I get around to them as soon as I can. And if you are new, it would be awesome if you could subscribe, because obviously it helps our little family grow. We are nearly at 30k subscribers, which is insane, by the way. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it off here, and I will speak to you all in the next video. I love you all. Bye guys.